Hi everybody! I'm going to show you some colored pencil techniques that you can use on various projects this year. I'm going to get my supplies and let's get started. All right everybody, so I have gathered up my supplies. I have a number of different colored pencils, a regular number 2 pencil, I have my sketchbook, I have a pencil sharpener, I have some Q-tips, I have some hand sanitizer, and a small dish to put that in. So pause the video, take a minute, and go and get your supplies. All right, so at this point you should have your supplies. I am going to show you 4 techniques. I am going to show you directional lines, layering, scumbling, and using baby oil, or in our case, we're going to use rubbing alcohol because I know we all have hand sanitizer on hand right now. So I'm going to start by drawing 4 boxes just to kind of, give myself a space to put my test, where I can test out these colored pencils. So I got my 4 boxes. So let's go ahead and start with the directional lines. So I'm going to put down this kind of light turquoise blue. When you're using directional lines, you typically want to start with a lighter color first and then build up the color from light to dark as you're going. So I've laid down this turquoise, and now I can go back in with a darker blue and begin to add some of those directional lines, and they will show up. I can also do them in the turquoise, and I'll show you both ways. This is a nice way to add texture and interest. It's a good way to do fur. It's also a good way to get more than one color from your colored pencils. You can, mix up your colors a little bit. So you can kind of see how that works there. Why don't you take a minute, pause the video, and practice. Okay, so now we're going to move on to layering. Layering is actually one of my favorites because you can have so much fun with mixing the colors. I'm going to look for kind of a yellow-orange, and it's a color. It may be a color that my colored pencils I don't have in my bin, and I want a specific color, and so I'm going to have to layer them just like mixing paints. So I'm going to lay down my yellow, and I'm going to come back with my orange, and I'm going lightly over the yellow with the orange, and I'm going to leave this yellow spot open so you can kind of see the difference. And then I can even go back over with my yellow again and really kind of blend that together, and I get this beautiful yellow-orange that would be different from just the orange or just the yellow. Why don't you pause the video, take a minute, and practice. All right, so now we're ready to move on. I'm going to work with scumbling. This is also one of my favorites. Let's use this purple. So scumbling is when you go over an area of colored pencil and you're changing up the direction of the lines. It's kind of like directional lines, but you're really doing it in a circular kind of motion. So I've laid down my light purple there. I'm going to come back in with this darker purple, and it's really like doodling. It's fun. I'm kind of doing these figure eights and these little squiggles back and forth. I can vary the pressure on my pencil, but it's a really interesting way to add some texture. You can even go back in with multiple colors. You don't have to be limited to 2 colors. Get wild. You can go ahead and add in that blue, and I've really got a rich surface there right now. Go ahead, pause the video, and practice. All right, the last technique I'm going to show you is the baby oil or the hand sanitizer. In my case, I'm using the hand sanitizer because that's what I have available right now. And I'm guessing that most of you have that at home as well. I'm going to use the hand sanitizer, and I'm going to use the Q-tip. So I'm going to take this small dish and I'm going to put a little squirt of hand sanitizer in my dish, and I have my Q-tip. All right, let's find a color that we want to use. So I'm going to go ahead and use this blue, and I'm going to lay my color down. Go back in and make it a little bit darker. And what you're going to do is you're going to dip your Q-tip in a little bit of that hand sanitizer gel. Just get the end of it a little wet, and then you're going to rub over the colored pencil that you just laid down. And if you look, you can see that it almost makes it more like a watercolor or a really light marker, because it begins to get rid of the texture, the lines that are created when you're working with a colored pencil. And you can see there's a big difference between the two. So that's a technique that you can also try. So why don't you go ahead, pause the video, and you can work with these colored pencil techniques for many of your projects this year. I hope you have fun.